guys, welcome back to No Interruptions. I'm Kate, and today we're talking about why mainstream bachelorette parties are toxic, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So for those of you who don't know, last week I wrote an article on this very topic, why mainstream bachelorette parties are toxic. And I know there's a lot of people out there who prefer to listen to like video essays or just listen to things as opposed to reading them. So here I am making a video for you guys. I'm basically just going to go through this essay. I'm going to be reading a lot of it, and if there's any like relevant asides, I'll be throwing those in for you as well. So with that, we're just going to jump right into it. Mainstream bachelor and bachelorette parties are disgusting and contradictory to the values of good marriage. By this point, we've probably all heard a horror story of someone who took it 1, 2, or 10 steps too far at a bachelor or bachelorette party. Although both parties share overlapping themes, and this essay is really meant to address issues with the mainstream versions of both, we're going to stick to the term bachelorette parties for the sake of simplicity. So what makes bachelorette parties different than other parties? First off, it's meant to be a pre-marriage celebration between the bride and her closest friends. This seems innocent enough, but given Millennial and Gen Z's relationship with hookup culture, commitment issues, and overall complicated history with relationships, all of which I discussed in my last essay. The last essay is called Marriage, a Contract That Should Be a Sacrament, and if you haven't read that, I discuss all of those things in that essay, so you should go check it out. So that being said, it's no surprise that Gen Z and millennials' complicated relationship with relationships bleeds over into prenuptial celebrations as well. Toxic marketing. Having fun at your bachelor or bachelorette party has become synonymous with giving soon-to-be brides and grooms a free pass for the night, or these days for several nights. What was once a standard one-night excursion is now more typically a 2, 3, or 4-day long bender involving strippers getting sloppy drunk, going back to strangers' Airbnbs, and at least one member of the bridal party having a blackout. If you don't have a brutal hangover at least one of the mornings, you didn't party hard enough. At this point in the essay, I've kind of inserted a picture of an example of some decor, some bachelorette party decor that is on Amazon. And it says flannel fling before the ring, and it's got like really obnoxious, gross like penis imagery all over it, and it also has what looks like a cartoon stripper guy just kind of chilling on the sign. Interesting and also gross. So moving on. Bachelorette parties in particular are marketed to be raunchy affairs in terms of decor as well. Penis imagery everywhere, photo wall signs saying things like last fling before the ring and same penis forever, which is another sign that I came across while I was planning my bachelorette party. I don't think I have to explain the contradictory implications of a pre-marriage celebration consisting of these themes. It's pretty obvious. It's kind of weird that, you're getting married and it's supposed to be like this joyful time of celebrating you and your soon-to-be spouse, and the way that people are celebrating is by doing this. It's kind of weird and also really inconsistent. An important element to note is that mainstream bachelorette and bachelor parties not only encourage crude behavior, they condition us to associate fun with sexual promiscuity. They attempt and often succeed in giving men and women an excuse to do single things for the duration of the party. This is true particularly in the example that I'm going to keep bringing up of strip clubs, going to see strippers, having strippers come to you, anything to do with strippers. Like, if you're a single person, you do you, but if you're getting married, this doesn't really seem like an appropriate way to celebrate. Even stranger, fiancés are encouraged not to speak to each other during these celebrations, even if the event is several days long. This was something I wasn't even aware of until my own bachelorette party, which lasted 2 nights. I called my fiancé the second night to check in. He seemed surprised to hear from me. I didn't think anything of it at first. I assumed he would think I might be too busy to call. But after our conversation, one of my bridesmaids asked who was on the phone. When I told her who it was, she seemed surprised as well. "But it's your bachelorette party," she said. At that point, I couldn't help but wonder to what extent this is the norm. Such secrecy and lack of communication would surely cultivate jealousy, or at the very least, worry and unease in a partner, leaving one wondering what the other one is doing. We've all seen the movies and heard a story or two. When I say movies, I think we all kind of know what I'm referring to here. There's, I actually have a link. It's called The 10 Best Bachelor Party Movies. And there's just a list of them. There's obviously The Bachelor Party. It's called The Bachelor Party with Tom Hanks. Then we have Sideways, American Wedding. Most popularly, probably The Hangover. I get a headache just watching that movie because it's so upsetting. And another link that I have here in this paragraph is an article about, it's called When to Call Your Fiancé. And it's in the Bachelor Party Manual, which is interesting. Okay, I'm just going to read you the first paragraph of this essay because it makes me really mad. Okay, so here it is. Your bachelor party has arrived. Kiss your future wife goodbye at the door. Tell her you'll miss her. Then get into the waiting taxi or car and let your friends whisk you away to one last night, weekend, or week of singledom. Then break off all contact with her. For the rest of the bachelor party, you should observe radio silence. Why? Because this is the whole point of your bachelor party. There are only 3 instances when you should call her. Follow this simple ABC rule and you will maximize your enjoyment of your last blowout as a sort of single guy. I'm cringing just reading this, but let's go through these really fast. A, for all is well. So if it's a destination bachelor party and you have to fly there or drive there or whatever, you're allowed to let your fiance know that you've arrived there safely where the bachelor party is going to be held. B, for baby, there's a problem. A problem in this instance is defined as someone's dead, someone's in the hospital, someone's in jail, or someone's life is in imminent danger. Okay? Only 3 instances. C, for can you pick me up when the bachelor party is over and you need a ride home. Apparently, these are the only times it's appropriate to contact your fiance during your bachelor party. This is what people are reading, folks, and they're following it. Now, I'm not saying be on your phone the whole time at your bachelor or bachelorette party. Absolutely not. Like, be present as much as possible. My point is, articles like this are so upsetting because they're telling people all of these things that are absolutely not true, okay? There's nothing wrong with calling your fiance after you've had a great day out with your friends and just telling them how great it was, checking in, letting them know you're okay, maybe asking how their day was real quick before you get back to partying. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. And it makes me really mad that people think there is a problem with that. So, moving on. Finally, mainstream versions of bachelor and bachelorette parties demean marriage into the simple understanding that, sadly, you can only have sex with one person for the rest of your life. So what is the bachelorette party for? To have fun while you can and enjoy being single, because dating and engagement suddenly mean nothing as far as relationship status. Peer pressure. It's not a real bachelorette party. When it came time to start planning my own bachelorette party, my maid of honor had a lot of ideas. Penis decor, magic mic, raunchy signs, all the cliche things. Here I have a picture of another gross sign from Amazon. It says, last wiener to go in between her. So much cringe. Like, I don't understand why people like this. I told her I was getting married, so strip clubs were out of the question. At first, she didn't seem to understand what I meant, insisting that it would be fine to just look, not touch. I flat out told her I didn't want any of those things and began brainstorming my own ideas. Oh yes, this is how it went. I planned my own bachelorette party, and I'm honestly proud of it, and I will tell you why in a minute. When I told my fiancé about my maid of honor's suggestions, he hesitated before telling me he really didn't care. But I knew he did care. He cared in the same way I would care if he went to strip clubs with the guys, and it hurt to think he felt like he had to act indifferent. At the end of the day, it isn't about trusting your partner or not trusting them, it's about respect. If you respect the person you're going to marry, you don't go to strip clubs. You don't seek sexual satisfaction from another person. It's very, very simple. The party took place at my house. The first night was a house party where everyone could meet and get to know each other over some drinks and appetizers before hanging out in the backyard, in the hot tub, around the fire pit. The second day, the girls tried on their bridesmaids' dresses. Everyone picked out their individual cuts. And we went to brunch and an aerial silks class, which was really fun, before heading back to my house to get ready for Halloween haunt at Kings Island. So Kings Island, if you're unfamiliar, is a amusement park, and every year they do Halloween haunt, which is like a night event essentially where people over the age of 13 will go and they can ride rides and do all of the Kings Island things, but it's Halloween themed. So they have, like fog machines and Halloween decor and people jumping out trying to scare you. And it's a lot of fun. So just to give you some context, we all got fast passes, so we were able to pass long lines of people on the way to the biggest, fastest roller coasters. This was such a good call. Amusement parks at night are my new favorite thing, especially with fast passes, because if you have a fast pass, your ego immediately gets boosted like 125 points. You're immediately like passing people in lines being like, haha, loser. We were definitely annoying, but I found out later that my maid of honor thought the party, quote, wasn't even a real bachelorette party, end quote. Having spent weeks in advance planning the entire weekend myself, I could have easily been hurt by such a comment. But in truth, it was a compliment. If acting like a sad single person for the weekend to celebrate being tied down forever is the criteria for a real bachelorette party, I'll gladly pass. By the way, the party was a blast, as you just heard, and I had a couple bridesmaids just come up to me afterwards and tell me how much fun they had, and it really meant a lot. An ongoing outside example of peer pressure surrounding weddings, specifically bachelorette parties, is the collection of conversations sparring from the subreddit, Am I the A-hole? If you have not read any of these Am I the A-hole posts, some of them are very entertaining. I highly recommend. Reddit users simply type out personal stories, asking the void of the internet whether they are being reasonable or not. One feed in particular is called, Am I the A-hole for kicking my maid of honor out of my wedding party because she was being a buzzkill? I actually came across this Reddit post. I was watching Charlotte Dobre. She does a lot of like really funny reaction videos, and she was going over this Reddit in particular, and it caught my attention. Bachelorette parties being related to what's going on in my life right now. But also, it was just so upsetting and shocking that I had to, add it into this essay. So I did. So this Reddit post was written in August of this year by a bride whose best friend and maid of honor, Kathy, was helping her plan her bachelorette party weekend. Kathy was a professional wedding planner and arranged the Airbnbs and activities for the girls. Before the weekend started, Kathy told the bride that she had arranged for everything, but there were some activities she felt uncomfortable participating in. So the bride asked her why, and Kathy's response is as follows, quote, Look, you've made some requests for your bachelorette party, and I respect everything you want to do, but there are some things that are off limits for me, and some of the stuff, such as the strippers, I booked for you, and some of the other activities are crossing boundaries regarding me and my own fiance's relationship. So I made sure to arrange everything perfectly, just how you and the girls wanted it, but sadly, it's not something I want to be involved in. I hope you have the greatest fun. First of all, good for her. I really wish more people were like this. Be like Kathy. Stand up for yourself. Stand up for you and your partner's relationship for the love of God. Thank you, Kathy, for a very valuable lesson. The bride was upset by this, and when Kathy later mentioned not wanting to drink alcohol before the wedding because she didn't want to get sick, the bride snapped. Her Reddit post continues, quote, I got very disappointed, and at that moment I straight up told her I didn't want her as my maid of honor if all she's going to do is be a buzzkill about everything regarding my wedding. ... The rest of my bridesmaids now also believe I took it too far. ... Not drinking alcohol is not something that would ruin my wedding, and I'm just overreacting. Am I the a-hole? Yes! Final_cream 6177. Yes, you are. You are the a-hole. Absolutely. On the other hand, the peer pressure induced excuse, "it was a surprise, I had no idea," is one I've heard a lot from people in general when it comes out that there was strippers or there was, they went to a strip club, whatever the heck is going on. That's usually a very common phrase or excuse that they like to use. But being coerced into going to a strip club because your friends planned it without telling you is not an excuse. But if it were, it would be the weakest one I've ever heard. Agreeing to go is a decision. Giving into peer pressure is an active decision and makes you just as guilty as if you planned it yourself. I'm going to read that again. Agreeing to go is a decision. Giving into peer pressure is an active decision and makes you just as guilty as if you planned it yourself. You are a participant. Say what you will about not trying to cause a scene or just trying to keep the peace and make everyone happy. But if there is a moment when you are more justified to make a scene, removing yourself from a compromising situation out of respect for your partner would take the cake. Absolutely. If you're going to stand up for anything or make a scene about anything, why would you not feel motivated to make a scene about that? Why would you not stand up for yourself and for your partner's relationship? Unless you don't value it, of course. That would be a different story. Growing up, I learned about the concept of guilty by association. I'm sure you've heard of this. If you hang out with 4 other people who are always using drugs, you become the 5th involved party. If you hang out with 5 other people who go out and get drunk every weekend because they have nothing to look forward to, you become the 5th participant. The same concept applies here. If you aren't surrounding yourself with people who make you better, you get worse. If you surround yourself with people who couldn't care less about the integrity of your relationship, you'll eventually care less as well. If those are the kinds of friends you surround yourself with, maybe it's time to find some new ones. If not for yourself, then for the sake of your marriage. It can be really hard to go against the grain sometimes. It's so much easier to go with the flow and do what everyone else is doing. It's hard to fall out of touch with friends when they've plateaued and you're still trying to grow as a person. But if I've learned anything from life so far, it's that the sooner you make the hard decision to identify and let go of people and activities that don't build you up, the happier and more meaningful your relationships will be moving forward. Now, just a little aside here. I'm not saying that if, your friends like to go get drunk on the weekends or whatever, that you should stop being friends with them. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I am saying is that if you have people in your life who are peer pressuring you into things that you don't necessarily want to do, if they're trying to convince you to do things that you probably shouldn't be doing, that might potentially affect your relationship or even just your own integrity, that's a problem. And are those people your friends? Maybe they used to be. Maybe they're more self-interested now than they were when you were actually friends. And by the way, no one's perfect. So, the basis of a friendship doesn't need to be, what is this person doing for me always? But if you are creating an environment for yourself where people have destructive habits and you're surrounded by that all the time, it's going to be really hard to grow as a person. So just be aware of it. And what I'm trying to say in this is learn to identify those things in your own life, but also in our culture, right? Because, everything about this whole bachelorette party, this whole, party culture is influencing us, individually as individuals. And so if we can't identify those things, it's going to be really hard to break away from it if we're just, doing what everyone else is doing because that's the culture. So on that note, I hope you all enjoyed this video and I will see you next time.
Hey everyone, it's Naomi Wolf of DailyClout, and I am asking you to please, if you like the video you just saw, support us, become a member, donate. You can send checks to P.O. Box 24, Millerton, New York, 12546, or go to DailyClout, DailyClout, become a member or donate. Thank you so much for your support. Every penny goes for paying our hardworking staff, paying hosting costs, and paying our lawyers who have been leading the fight to keep you safe and free, to keep the Constitution safe and to keep you free. Thank you so much.